You haven't seen any of those others talking about it. Zoo Mafia is a game set in the 1920s, 1930s. You're a zoo animal. You're supposed to go wild and do crime.
But don't let the humans catch you.
I'm Nerdarchist Ted.
And I'm Nerdarchist Dave.
Welcome to Nerdarchy,
for nerds by nerds.
All right, so this time we're going to step away from Dungeons & Dragons for a moment, and we're going to talk about Zoo Mafia.
Yeah, so it's time to talk about one of those other RPGs, but it's one that we made or making, Zoo Mafia. So there's a couple updates. One, we've made a couple extra playbooks. They appear in kind of an ugly format on the website as just like a preview. We had put them up on the Patreon so the patrons could get access to them. That was the driver and the goon to go along with the buttons, Safecracker, Grifter, and Lookout. We also updated the rules for, we're on version 3 now. There were some things we forgot to do in the other ones, some typos. So we wanted to fix those and pretty it up even more.
Yeah, and we're now even playtesting the Snatcher in the current game that I'm running.
We are, testing the Snatcher. We don't know if that one will make it into the final cut. It's got some connotations that I'm not entirely sure that I want to put out into the universe or not.
Sure.
But with that, Stephen Partridge had put that one together. We're looking at it. We're playing it. We're also playtesting the driver and the goon as well. I had run a full campaign on the channel for the first one, where you, Doug, Robin, and Steven all played in it. We did 12 episodes, and now we've started a second campaign. You're now running. We're 3 deep.
We're 3 deep. And I've also run quite a number of one-shots besides. So when we begin looking at the numbers, you run, 16 sessions of Zoo Mafia. I've run 9, getting ready to run a 10th this upcoming Tuesday. So it's definitely been a lot of fun and a major learning experience being on this side of an ongoing campaign.
Yeah, so, I've only run like 4 one-shots. You've done like 9 one-shots at this point. You've done a bunch of them. You've played it with a lot of different people. Between the two of us, we played it, with a lot of different people. And so far, the reaction has been really strong and positive as far as, their enjoyment of it. Maybe we should actually say what Zoo Mafia is, though.
Sure. In case this is your first video with Zoo Mafia and you haven't seen any of those others talking about it, Zoo Mafia is a game set in the 1920s, 1930s. You're a zoo animal. You're supposed to go wild and do crime.
But don't let the humans catch you.
The idea is, there are mafia families that you are trying to join, join their structure, join their network, if you will. So you're just a mob. You're a little group trying to make it in this, cutthroat world. And if you can impress the bosses, then you might be able to join their family and kind of end your own little story into, the family.
Yeah, as the game stands, there are 3 crime families you're trying to get into, one of which there's Al Capone, Carlo Gambino, and Machine Gun Otto, and those themes play heavily into the games. It is a rules light RPG. It is a hack of Powered by the Apocalypse. We're right now in the process of reaching out to the creators of Apocalypse World and getting permission to officially call it a Apocalypse, a Powered by the Apocalypse powered game, I guess is how you would say that.
Sure. So there's a lot of fun with it. We've thoroughly enjoyed, writing, playtesting, and playing this game. And with that feedback of players, I've had everything, from, this is just a good game or a great game, to I literally had at a convention that I ran, somebody was like, I need this in my life. Tell me how I can get it. So I love hearing, that kind of stuff for a game that we're only in the middle of playtesting.
Yeah. Now, you've played with more people than me, and I've yet to receive a response that I would consider a lukewarm response. Everything has been very positive, and people have had a lot of fun with it. It is a joke. There's a lot of jokes, within the game, because we don't it's not really about being an anamorphic animal per se. Like, and when you play Zoo Mafia, you might actually do it that way. And when we actually write the rule book, we'll talk about it a little bit. But our concept is you are just a zoo animal, right? But you do human things like use guns and dynamite and smoke and drink. But we don't explain how they do it and how they do these things without hands, how they drive it. But the players start filling that stuff in and start having a lot of fun with it. And I feel like at this point, I like it as part of the game.
I do as well. I don't feel the need to, make adjustments. I do want to put it in the rules that it is entirely able to, put it out there to, the rule set, you playing, you can make the determination whether you want to make it a full, anthropomorphic world, kind of like Zootopia or what have you. I'm here for it. But you want to play like Madagascar, where like, all right, they're animals and they're, they start off in the zoo, sure, but they have sentience. They have the ability to do all of these human-esque things. And that's the angle that I shoot for. That's the angle that I have fun, because you then have the challenge of, if you don't let, if you're playing with the don't let the humans catch you, they're a part of the world. And there's something that some drastic things can happen if you decide to interact with that aspect of the world.
Now, since you started running your own campaign, and we started with a session 0 first, we did that with both of our games. And what was important for you going into session 0 before you started the campaign?
So I really loved the foundation that you laid with the first game, but I do feel like since there was a little bit of a learning curve with, the Apocalypse engine, I felt like there were some things that I think you could have stepped on our toes a little bit more, leaned into the hard moves that showcase what it is that some of these bad guys could do and make them be something different. Because I felt like while playing, you either had a mook or you had an enforcer, and that was the only challenge that we were up against. And I could be wrong, but that was how that was my perception. So I wanted to have some things that were outside that spectrum.
Yeah.
But I also wanted to breathe life into law enforcement and the civilian world, and really lean heavy into those aspects so that you felt it's, there's more danger in this world, and there are more aspects of the world beyond just mob on mob crime.
That makes a lot of sense. And there are definitely elements of the game that I've included them in the play tests. It's not even a play test at this point. It's the quick start rules, and it'll go into the campaign. Like, one of the factors is, the main difference between a lot of the weapons is, can they be silenced? Are they noisy or not? Right, which is a big deal. Now, I didn't really worry about it too much when I ran the first campaign, but in the one you're running, you're making it much more prevalent. Like, oh, if you're going to get into a gunfight for a long time, you're going to draw law enforcement and the unwanted attention, right?
Yes.
And you're making that a more element. I did have a plot line that involved law enforcement, but we didn't get into it too deeply, and I feel like you guys kind of found a way to circumnavigate it and deal with it kind of like sneakily instead of head on. By you guys like invaded the human world and switched around paperwork to send away the feds, essentially, because my take in my zoo was that the law enforcement was all corrupt or scared, so they weren't really doing their job.
Okay.
So that was part of the reason why I didn't make it as prevalent. And in the latter part of the campaign, I did step up the law enforcement presence because the feds had moved in. Of course, with Captain Johnny Eagle, there to direct things and his Timberwolves. But again, like, you guys figured out how to circumnavigate that and make that not as much of an issue and send things back to the default setting of that particular zoo. But in your zoo, the impression I'm getting is you just want a little more hard-nosed, grittier game. And also the players in my game also, they weren't really like hardcore bad people criminals.
They weren't all that way.
Yeah.
I would say that Tommy certainly was, but it is what it is. Tommy was my character, but when I looked at the the first session, I had all of these things kind of prepped, and I wanted, I reached out to all the players, and I'm like, all right, you need to have homework in between session 0 and session 1, and everybody had to provide me 3 civilian contacts, things that were friends and that were not a part of the Mafia, and all of these relationships. And I got everything from like 1 or 2 sentences with a character to like full on like backstory and character linkages. It was like, wow. But that's gonna happen. Some people...
I will say mine weren't as adept as that, but I did provide the 3, and I've moved them right into the front and center right away. And also in this game, there's mechanics for you can succeed at things, but there's consequences. And a lot of times, the GM or Zookeeper in this particular case will throw it back to the player and be like, "You tell me the bad thing that happened because you have consequences, right?" And so when Ted was doing that, I was like, "Sure, why not?" I made sure I brought all my people into it, use them wherever I can, And we've also seen some of the other civilians as well. But that's part of the game too, especially the way Ted's run it is. The civilians are kind of in danger if they're connected to you because you live in a dangerous world, and it creeps out into other parts of your life.
Yeah, so I wanted to have that aspect for several reasons, and one, first and foremost, 2 hours is a long time to run when combat happens so quickly. A 5 to 10 minute combat is long in Powered by the Apocalypse because it moves so much quicker than a game like D&D.
Yeah, only the players roll for anything. And when it comes to combat, when the players roll, they're actually rolling for what happens to them and what happens to the bad guys, right? The worse you roll as a player, the more bad things that happen to you. So, combat in a Powered by the Apocalypse game can actually get very brutal very fast, especially with some bad rolls.
Now, when you fail at something, you're going to get, XP, because you learn by failure, but it's a scenario where if you just keep rolling poorly, you're going to die if you're in combat because that's how damage can be dealt to you. Now, in addition, I mentioned, the term hard move. That's where a bad guy steps out of the realm of, rolling dice and this happens. And it usually comes in the form of straight up damage or some kind of effect that happens, to the player characters or one of the player characters in some cases. So it's a real hard thing, and I want death to be a possibility here, and I've let my players know that could be a scenario the deeper we get into this story. And we're getting ready to go into session 4 at the time of recording this, and everybody is damaged as they're getting ready to start another job, even though they've just finished a rest. So it's going to be tough to see, where things go down the line and see like, all right, well, are they going to be able to find a doctor? Are they going to be able to have, some time off and truly get through, a full resting period? So it's going to be a little bit fun to see how this all works out.
Yeah, and we have other videos. We have a whole playlist, where we talk about the kind of like the design aspects of Zoo Mafia, which we'll put links to that, in the cards here down below. But really just go over to Nerdarchy.com, to the store, to the Zoo Mafia section. You can download the rules for free. You can also go to ZooMafiaRPG.com, sign up for the newsletter if you want to know about when the Kickstarter launches and when we're getting the book out there and any other thing that's going on with Zoo Mafia. That's we're going to be talking about it. I'm still on the fence whether I'm going to Gen Con or not, but if I do, I'm going to sign up to run some games. And there's only one game I'm really interested in running, and that is Zoo Mafia.
So there's a lot of things moving and shaking. We're eventually looking to take this game to Kickstarter, but the more people that we have that are playing it, talking about it, giving us feedback on how it goes in their games is going to allow us to know when's the appropriate time for that.
Yeah. Not only that, we are having so much fun with creating the Zoo Mafia engine that we're like, what? We can use this for other things, and we already have ideas percolating for other games that we've played. If you look through the Nerdarchy playlist of actual plays and gameplays, you might find some clues there, especially if you look at those non-D&D games, to something we might bring to life after Zoo Mafia. But that's enough foreshadowing for that for now.
But hey, you like all the stuff that Nerdarchy does and you'd like to help us out? Why not come check out Nerdarchy the store, as well as come support us on Patreon. Links are going to be down below.
Why don't you put your thoughts and ideas for Zoo Mafia, what you think it's all about, or your interpretation of the rules down in the comments below. How's it going at your table?
While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, even go ahead and click on that notification bell. You know the drill.
Quick reminder, we drop several new videos on the channel every week, so come on back. Can't wait till then. No worries, we got you covered. We talked about the campaign that Ted just began running. It's not too late to get in on it. There's a whole playlist for Campaign 2 of Zoo Mafia RPG. Check it out.
So until next time,
Stay nerdy.